Hey guys, and welcome to Poolshed Games. I am Andrew, also known as the Lich Lord, and right now I'm going to be doing the second part of my Wheel of Time video, which there will be a lot of spoilers in this video. If you haven't read A Memory of Light, the 14th book in the Wheel of Time series, then you probably shouldn't watch this video. Unless you're not going to read them, you don't plan on reading them, or maybe you want to be spoiled. If you want to be spoiled, that's fine. You can watch, and you can pretty much get completely. You can get the ending, because I'm going to be talking about that a lot. But yeah, there are going to be a lot of spoilers in this video. So if you don't want to be spoiled, then just stop watching. Watch the first video I made, because that has very few spoilers in it. Maybe some minor spoilers, but not anything that's going to ruin your experience with the books. The last thing I would ever want to do is ruin somebody's experience with one of the books that I consider to be one of my favorite fantasy series. So if you don't want to be spoiled, just hit the X button at the top right corner of your computer. But okay, now that that's out of the way, I'll start talking about the book itself. First thing I want to say is I just want to say thank you to Brandon Sanderson for doing a magnificent job finishing this series. In 2007, when Robert Jordan died, I was completely crushed, and I really did not think that there was going to be any way that they would ever be able to finish the story. Just because it's such an epic series, and I mean, there's 14 books. I can only imagine what the manuscripts look like. There's probably rooms full of papers that Robert Jordan used. Robert Jordan basically worked on this story his entire life. So, when Brandon Sanderson came into this, it was like saying, I've been writing this my entire life. Good luck. I mean, and he stepped up to the challenge, and he did a great job. And I didn't think it'd be possible. I knew about Brandon Sanderson before he wrote this. I read Mistborn trilogy and a couple of his other books. So I was pretty optimistic about it, but at the same time, I didn't think that, regardless of how good of a writer you are, I didn't think that anybody would ever be able to finish this series. But he did, and he did a great job, and I really enjoyed it. I know that there are a few people, a few reviews I've read on Goodreads, which, also, if you're interested in this book, and you want to know more about it too, you can go to Goodreads, and there's a lot of reviews, things like that, and you can get a good idea of what people think of it. But basically, when I went on the Goodreads and I looked at the book, what I saw was the majority of people who gave it 5 stars. And I was one of those people. I gave it 5 stars on Goodreads. I thought it was awesome. It made books in the series, even that I didn't like as much, better because they led up to this story. So, I thought it was awesome. I really liked it, and yeah, but basically, the results I saw were the majority of the people had 5 stars, but there's also kind of a smaller minority of people who had single stars. They had given it to them, or 2 stars, or 3 stars in some cases. Which, I mean, I can see why somebody might give it a 3 star, but 1 star is kind of like, well, I mean, I don't see how people could say it's that bad. I mean, there were a few things that in the book that I wouldn't say bothered me so much as, it bothered me a little bit. But I was able to overlook that quite a bit, just because the scale of the books and the fact that, Brandon Sanderson is not Robert Jordan. And, it's impossible to get it perfect because, for obvious reasons. But, the biggest complaint I saw was people who said that the battle scenes were just too long. And I can see where they're coming from there. I personally really enjoyed the battle scenes. I thought they were very well done. They were very detailed. They're very heartbreaking at a lot of times, which I thought was good. It's kind of too often where battle scenes in books are like, oh, look how great this battle is. And it's like, well, I mean, battles aren't necessarily supposed to be something that's wonderful and great. I mean, they're supposed to be interesting and kind of realistic, and even in fantasy, I think battle scenes should be realistic to a certain extent. But a lot of the battle scenes are very heartbreaking. I mean, there are a ton of people who died in this book. A lot of beloved characters died in this book. And that was one thing people didn't like very much about it, where they said, well, the battle scenes were too long. Battle scenes were very long. As I said, I enjoyed the battle scenes. I thought they're very well done, but they were pretty long. In fact, there's one chapter in the book called The Last Battle that's probably like 300 pages long, which it's not all the one battle. It's not completely that. It's not just all like battle. A lot of it's battle, but there's also a lot of other stuff that's going on. And I mean, this is the 14th book. This is the last battle. It's what the last book in the series was always going to be. It's what I always expected it to be. So yeah, I didn't think that was. I didn't have a problem with the fact that the battle scenes were very long. In fact, I read through them very quickly. I read this book in like 2 days, which is insane because it's like a 900-page book. But anyways, that's one complaint. That's the biggest complaint I saw people who had about it. It's not really a complaint I have because I didn't mind it that much. But I think it's kind of a well-founded complaint for some people, I suppose. But other than that, I loved it. Some of the things I thought that were kind of interesting, maybe a little bit, very interesting, was the scenes with Andral. I thought were really cool at the Black Tower with where Mesrim Taim, where he basically took control of the Black Tower. He became one of the Forsaken. It's a spoiler, but as I said, he became one of the Forsaken. He fell to the Dark One, and he basically took over the entire Black Tower, which is where the men have been trained to channel. Now, since Rand cleansed the male half of the one true source, they started training, and they were basically preparing for the last battle, which why Rand did that in the first place, why he created the Black Tower in the first place, was to, have the upper edge on the forces of the Dark One when they finally came out of the Blight. And that's basically why he was doing that. And, so Mesrim Taim became Forsaken. He's slowly changing all of the men in the Black Tower who can channel into basically servants of the Dark One. He's has a device from the Age of Legends where even if they don't want to fall to the Dark One, it basically forces them to. So he's slowly turning the entire Black Tower against Rand, against the forces of light, basically against the forces of good. And yeah, he's just gonna. So that's kind of a terrible, I was kind of wondering how that was going to go if he actually did take that over. Luckily he didn't. Andral was able to stop him, why I really like Andral as a character is because he's very weak in the One Power, but he's extremely good at making gateways. So, and I thought it was really cool the way he wrote the gateway scenes, because, it was like, basically he would be attacked, by one of the other channelers, and he would basically make a gateway in front of him and open a gateway behind them so that their own attack would hit them, which I just thought that was really cool. I thought it was a really interesting way to do that. And I just thought that the fact that he was such a weak channeler, but at the same time he had this one ability where he's magnificent at it, I just thought that was really cool. So that was one of the story arcs in this book that I really enjoyed a lot, and I thought it was really cool. And it was almost honestly one of the story arcs from earlier in the series. I just didn't think it was going to get finished because there was so much stuff that was happening in this 14th book. I just didn't think they were going to get to that, and they did that and it was awesome. I really like that part, that whole story arc with him. I thought that was really cool. The second kind of story arc part of the book that I really liked was at the Fields of Marylor, when they are discussing how they're going to go about basically fighting the Dark One. Rand's plan was to break the seals and release the Dark One so that he could reforge a brand new seal because the original seals were imperfect. Egwene, who is the head of the White Tower, basically the leader of the Aes Sedai, the female Aes Sedai. She is completely against this. She's the guarder of the seals, completely against this. This can't happen. No way. He's crazy. He's gone insane. That's what her feelings are, that he has gone insane because he has been channeling for so long, and the male half of the One Power was tainted by the Dark One. Obviously, the taint's gone, but Rand used it a lot when the taint was still there. So she thinks he's insane, and it kind of started this whole thing where basically it basically split the kingdoms of the world in half. Half of them were for Rand, half of them were for Egwene in the White Tower, and it could have all been finished there. It could have just ended there. But Moraine, who tutored Rand, I guess you could call it tutored Rand in the earlier books, but kind of didn't quite die. Kind of was sent to was sent away, and she was pretty much killed off for all intents and purposes. But they were able to retrieve her and get her back. But she makes an awesome entrance, and she kind of convinces Egwene to go with Rand and his plans, which is good because they end up succeeding in the end because they broke the seals, and because they were able to refashion a new seal. So I thought that was a great scene. I thought that was an awesome scene. I'm gonna go back to the battle scenes a little bit now. As I said before, the battle scenes are really, really sad. And when I say sad, I don't mean like they were bad and they're sad, but there were a lot of characters that died. And I mean, characters that were with us from the beginning of the series. I mean, Egwene dies. I could not believe it when she did. She was one of the characters where I thought for sure she would live. She dies in an epic way, let's put it that way. But yeah, I couldn't believe it when that happened. That was very shocking to me that happened. It was a very emotional loss too, as character. Also, Ruark, he ends up being killed, one of the leaders of the IL, which I was just like, no way. I just a lot of characters that I didn't think were going to die died, and not just important characters, but just in general. I mean, the last battle was brutal. People were falling left and right, and just hundreds of thousands of people died in the last battle. But yeah, one of the things I also thought was really cool in the battle scenes was Demon Dread. One of the Forsaken. His character is finally revealed. I mean, the book has been leading to this and leading to this and leading. And I was always, what is he doing? What is Demon Dread doing? What is? Because he's not involved in really any of the other books. He'll come in for like a scene, and he'll be talking for a while, and then he's very ambiguous about what he's doing. He has big plans. His main goal is to fight Rand in single combat, which he never gets the chance to do. But he comes in with basically a Turangriel. I think it's actually no, it's a Sarangriel, which is basically a device that amplifies the amount of One Power that people can use, and he is just destroying people left and right with this thing. He also comes in with an army of Sharans, who are people from like the far east of the world, which I thought was really cool, and I did not expect that at all. I didn't. There might have been something I missed in one of the books, but I did not expect the Sharans to come into play. I mean, I was just kind of like, the Sharans? Wait a minute, who are they? And then I had to go back in my memory and go back to like, I think they were mentioned here and there around like book 6, maybe book 7. But I was just like, wow! I thought it was a really interesting, scene there. And basically how he got them to, join his side was to work upon their prophecies. They had a prophecy that a man would one day come, and he would be the dragon slayer, and he would kill the dragon. He would kill Rand, basically. And so yeah, they followed him. I'm trying to remember what his title was, because it was really cool. It's something of the Willed. It was just a really cool title, but I can't remember, unfortunately. But anyways, I thought it was cool. And Lan, who, or it might be pronounced Lon, also, I'm not sure. But his character is a beast in this. He kills Demandred, and is just, it's an awesome scene, because I didn't expect it to be him, and he kills him in single combat also. It was just really cool, and it was probably single-handedly my favorite scene in the book. Okay, so that's mostly the battles, and Fields of Marylor, and some of the other stuff I like, in Andral and all that. Oh, another really cool scene with Andral is he basically opens up a gateway during a battle that's big enough to basically funnel lava, molten rock, out of Dragon Mount, and basically pour it all over the enemy battlefield, which I just thought was like that's how good he is at channeling gateways. He's able to do, I mean, even though he's so weak into one power, he's able to do something like that with gateways, which I thought was cool. Another little story arc I thought was interesting was the Great Generals. Gareth Bryn, I forget the Saldean, I forget what his name is. Yeah, you probably know who I mean. Fortunately, I can't remember his name. And there were a couple of the three great generals. They basically, Davram Bashir, that's his name. Okay, but yeah, but basically the three of them, they were having their minds tampered with while they were asleep. While they're sleeping, and basically one of the Forsaken messed with their battle plans, so they would do everything wrong. I mean, and it basically leads to disaster for the kingdoms of the world. It leads to disaster in many cases. Fortunately, they're able to come out of it basically because Matt comes in with an army of the Sanchan and is able to defeat them. But yeah, that is one thing I'll get into a little bit. Matt and the Empress of the Sanchan are obviously married. And, at the start of that whole story arc, I was very annoyed with just where Matt had gone, how he ended up getting there, and I don't know, at first I didn't like it. But as it continued, it was really cool, because Matt's so, just Matt, let's put it that way. He's very, he's very set in his own ways. So he really wasn't pushed around by the Empress at all, which I thought was pretty cool. Perrin's story arc was also cool. He was, obviously, most of the book he's in the world of dreams, attacking, or hunting down Slayer. He eventually does, luckily. Yeah, I think that's mostly for that stuff, but for what Rand was doing. Okay, Rand basically went to the Blight. He went to Volcano. I forget what it's called. Anyways, yeah, he went to basically. I can't remember what it's called. I'm sorry, but yeah, he went into the Blight. He went to the Dark One's lair. Basically, he went in. He faced down Moradin, who was kind of leader of the Forsaken at the time. And basically, during this fight, time pauses, and he has basically a battle of wills with the Dark One himself. And the Dark One basically shows him the different possibilities of what could come to this, and basically tells Rand that there's no way that he can possibly win, and even if he does, he'll come back in the next stage and defeat him then. Defeat the Dragon Reborn then. So, okay, there's a battle of wills. Rand eventually wins out, and is pretty awesome. How he ends up defeating Moradin is also very interesting, because I didn't see this coming. He took Kalendor with him, which is a Sarangriel in the shape of the sword that is very flawed in the fact that a male channeler can simply take control of whoever is wielding it. So it's a trap. I mean, it's kind of useless, because it's not useless, let's put it that way, because it's still extremely powerful. But a channeler can take control of you if you're using it, which yeah, is not good for Rand. So I was kind of wondering to myself why he would take that, but he also goes with Moraine and Nynaeve into the cavern and into the pit of doom, which I'm I got the name finally, and he's finally able to, he basically drops the sword, fainting that he accidentally dropped it. Moradin picks it up. They take control. The three of them take control of Moradin, and they focus basically an attack on the Dark One that doesn't destroy him, but seals him away in. It seals him away. So the seal is remade, and the good guys win. I kind of, honestly, and one of the things that I really liked is that Rand actually survives. I thought for sure he would die, because basically it led you to that. I thought Rand was going to die, but he ends up living, which is really cool, and his form has changed a little bit. He now looks like Moradin, and Moradin looked like him, which was kind of cool, and I'm not exactly sure how that happened, but I thought it was an interesting ending. And basically, Rand, who was really just a kid when you think about it, he's probably like in his early 20s when the 14th book happened, gets to live his life. He gets to live, which is cool. I thought for sure, out of all the characters in the story, that he was going to die. But that's about it for this video. I hope you like this video. I hope you subscribe if you want to see more videos such as this. We also do a lot of stuff with games if you're not familiar with our channel at all. But but yeah, hopefully if you haven't read this or haven't read these books, you haven't watched this video. But if you have, you should still read them. If you were like, oh, just curious and read them and watch this video, or like, you should still read these books even though you basically know how it ends. But you should still read them, even if you haven't. But if you have read these, and if you watch this video, tell me what you liked about the book. Tell me maybe what you didn't like about this book. Obviously, why I liked it, but I'm not. If you have a good reason for not liking it, then fine. Then I'm more than willing to engage in a discussion with you if you want to do that. But other than that, I hope you like this and subscribe to this video. I hope you liked the book, because I loved it. And have a good night.